Hello friends, this is Mukesh Sahai, History faculty at Maluka Ias. Yesterday the mains exam was held. First of all, I'd like to thank the Almighty who gave me the opportunity to become teacher. Secondly, I'd like to thank the august dais of Maluka sir who allowed me to share, and all the non-teaching staffs who provided the environment to deliver me. Dear friends, when I started here the lectures, the very first day I promised them that there are some myths in history which I am here to break. The myth number one, history is boring subject. Myth number two, history gets poorly, marks in UPSC mains. Myth number three, people who, syllabus is quite vast. Myth number four, the marks what we get in history is very less. Myth five, what the teachers teach never comes in history optional. Dear friends, I came here with all my students to humbly tell you that whatever I told, whether it is true or not, and it is subject to verification of all my previous classes, whatever I taught. So I like to begin with question number one. The urban character of Harappan civilization was a result neither of any outside influence nor a sudden act, but the gradual evolution of regional socio-economic factors. Already I discussed this question in details. If I remember, you are there, my online offline students, whether I discussed or not. Dear friends, it is true that many of the Europeans, they claim that it's because of the foreign influence this Harappan civilization flourished. But in terms of town planning and drainage system, no contemporary civilization stand against the Harappans. So the entire idea breaks down here. Then comes how we started agriculture in Mehergarh, and from there the agrarian societies evolved into the semi-pastoral, urban, semi-urban, and then urban. However, we miss some links, but it cannot be denied that largely it is attributed to the evolution section. Already we have discussed in detail. The second question, the foreign accounts as a source of ancient history may have some advantages, but also have a few shortcomings. Already I discussed that Megasthenes, when he came, he claimed that there is no slavery, and then to him seven castes were there to him. So many errors are there in his portrayal because he was an ambassador. Similarly, when we see the accounts of Ibn Battuta and others, many contemporary accounts, they portray according to their own idea, like even Al-Biruni had some shortcomings. So already I discussed this question in details. So this is the second question. The third question, though some of the idea of Buddhism may have their origin in Vedic Upanishadic tradition, but it was an altogether new religion with its own specific principles and institutions. Yes, already I told that, some idea of Sankhya philosophy and even Upanishadic thoughts attribute to Buddhism, no doubt in that. Already we have discussed it in detail. But then, yes, the idea of Four Noble Truths, the idea of Pratipya Samutpad, the idea of Nirvana, these are all the new ideas, because in Hinduism, for Nirvana you have to pass through 84 lakhs yoni. Here in Buddhism you can attain Nirvana in one life itself. So there is a huge difference. And the idea of Madhyam Pratipada Marg, and there are many ideas, 7 Buddhyangas and all, they are totally different from the Vedic ideas. So this already we have discussed a lot. Now, economic achievement of the Guptas were culmination of the process which began during the Kusanas. Actually, if you see the urbanization in India, it starts from Kusana itself. And during the time of Kusanas were the master of the Silk Route. And that was the time when India was the golden bird in terms of the whole Europe, and complete balance of trade was in favor of India. That was the time when we see this, many hinterland cities and many small cities became very important, and this was the time trade in Takshashila and Uttarapath, Dakshinapath were flourishing like anything. And the peak what we get of this idea in Gupta age, when we have many urbanized centers, we see the trade and commerce with the Roman cities, China and all those Central Asian cities, Mediterranean cities and all. We have discussed it in lot. So this was the question. Now Dhamma was propagated not just for moral upliftment and social harmony, but also for the extension of the state's authority. It's very clear, because see, ruler cannot be a monk. Ruler is a ruler, and that too Asoka. Why he will invest so much on inscribing his idea to far off areas, and especially it cannot be a coincidence that these inscriptions were laid down in the border areas, in all those areas which were very vital for the survival of the state. And then if you look at the idea of Dhamma, see, Dhamma was the diplomacy which he used for his foreign policy, which he used to settle down the local issues, which he used to settle down all the conflicts what he found in his kingdom. So in details we have seen what are the ideas. Had it been the part of only morality or Buddhism, there was no need of Dhamma Mahamatya as a separate wing to employ, right? Secondly, we do not find any wording like Four Noble Truth or Nirvana or something like that. So it is not only morality, and if it is morality, it has been borrowed from all the religions, be it Hinduism, be it Buddhism, be it some other religions which prevailed, because in that time even Ajivikas were very popular, right? But the basic idea of Dhamma was to use it as a part of diplomacy, right? So that a state's authority remain effective and will not have to go through many of the battles. Because after Kalinga, as I have already told, that he was disillusioned that path of war is not permanent. So this is why his idea was to tackle these issues through the Dhamma. Already we discussed it in detail. And then next question, very easy, Nagar and Dravir. Nagar style already we saw Panchayatan and all, Ardh Mandap and all those things. And in Dravir there is new addition like Viman, Gopuram, Nandi Mandap, many new things come. Already we have seen it in details. And then tripartite struggle, already I discussed a lot. Pala Pratihara and Rashtrakuta, what happened, why they were fighting for Kannauj, why already it became a very important place, right? Already we have seen Bhakti movement of Tamil Bhakti movement like Nayanar, and Vaisnavite like what you call Alvar, right? 12 Alvar and 63 Nayanar. And basically what was the feature which they stick to? Basically this was the first time even Sudraj and even women were allowed to perform bhakti, though they didn't outrightly deny the social customs, but at the same time they allowed the lower caste to become the bhakti saints. So that was the beauty, and it happened in South because of one thing. The only one reason was Sanskritization of the Pallavas. Pallavas got completely Aryanized, and that is why many temples came. So complete environment was supporting for this movement. They had the institutions, they had the ideas, they had the places, and that is why this Bhakti movement came. So whole idea we have discussed it, so many lectures and all. Then Raj Tarangani, already few days back I discussed what it was, why it came. It has got the history of 3600 years, and in first to three they will focus on beginning to 8th century or so, and then 3 to 5 or so. There are 8 chapters basically. The last chapter will be predominantly on the 12th century, of which he belongs to, where you will find and especially about women he is little prejudiced. Already we discussed a lot about what are the right things, what are the, see, he has got an ideal on the basis of which he will find whether the ruler is just or unjust. Secondly, we have also seen that this is the first time we have some chronological evidence, and that is why in ancient India we don't get any parallel example, and that is why in Kashmir also this become a benchmark. Thereafter 3 Rajtarangani another 3 Rajtarangani were compiled by later authors. So already we have seen a lot. Already we have seen Brahmaday Anudan and Brahmaday grants and what was the impact of that. Actually, in feudalism, what we see, the Brahmaday are very important because it was given to, there are many like Agrahar, Brahmaday and Akshay Nivi, Apradakshaya Nivi. There are many land grants in early medieval and all. They were actually, once the land grant were given, some immunities were also granted. And because of the immunities, they become the feudal centers. Already we have seen. And many settlements, not only because of this, only because of Turkish garrisons. There were some other regions also, like crafts is there, technology is there, some people, rulers are settling down. So there are many factors which contribute to this urbanization. Already we have discussed in details. 2-3 days back I was discussing about political instability after the death of Iltutmish was doing Chahalgan. Yeah, true. This 40 group, they were the one who decided after Iltutmish who will sit on the crown. And if I remember that, be it Rajia Sultana, her fall is only because of this Chahalgani. Also we saw that Bahram Shah and others, and exactly if you see the Nasiruddin Mahmud period, is completely dictated by the Chahalganis, and they were the one who reigned supreme, and this was what constituted the complete anarchy, and that was the inspirational force for Balban's kingship. So we have discussed in details. These chapters will come later lectures. They already we have not we are passing through. Once let it come, we'll see whether we have finished it or not. So whatever I covered, I think 100% questions came out of that. So thank you to all my students who who have shown faith in me, and I tried to dispense justice whatever available with me. Thank you very much.